Hi and welcome to the Soholiff Spotlight. I'm Liz Farah-Hardy and I'm absolutely delighted to be joined today with Sam Talbot, who is the director of a fabulous short documentary called Ainsworth. And we're also joined today by Tim Aleshi, who is a community football leader and also a football scout. So really, really happy to have you both here today.
Thanks very much for having us.
I'm going to go to you first of all, Sam. Could you just, for people watching, just give a little tease. What is Ainsworth about?
Well, Ainsworth is actually an area in sort of North London. It's actually a council estate, really wonderful council estate, where there's a football pitch at the heart of this sort of hub where everyone's living. And it's a film, it's funny, the word community, that sort of deals with the sort of the local community who play in this kind of cage football environment. And this particular one person called Cam, who I met, who is a football coach, lives next door, and it's essentially a sort of film about his relationship with the space. That's how I would sort of say what it is.
Cool. And how did you meet Cam?
I met Cam because we had another project we were developing, a drama project, and I went down to the pitch and I just met him and we just got on really well, and I got to know him over a period of months and got to understand his relationship with various people down there, what he did, and I sort of hopefully earned his trust, but got to see what he did. And the story and the world sort of evolved from there, really. That's how I kind of started it all off.
Cool. And it's beautiful story. It's really lovely to see how it evolved. Basically the football is the centre.
Well, it is. So obviously, Cam's like, it's just one of his. He lives right next door to the pitch, and a lot of the people in that show are all sort of people who used to live in the area, but always go back there to play. So he's kind of at the heart of what it is. And actually, him and his friend, they helped get the pitch turned from concrete to AstroTurf, I think 10 or 15 years ago, through Arsenal Kicks, like a local programme. But the thing that's really interesting, you probably don't see in the documentary, is how important that area is, how it was during the pandemic, all these kind of like areas of sport, of activity for this community, which can be real sort of an axis, a real sort of a hub, but also a melting pot of all these different nationalities, all these different cultures, but fundamentally they're all linked by wanting to play football. And that's kind of like an urban, it's their urban playground.
Absolutely. And Tim, this is where we're coming to you. Is this something familiar to you?
Absolutely. We tend to underestimate the power of the football itself, not just within the community, but in the whole spectrum of things. What it does, bringing people together, the mental wellness, the health of obesity side of it, and also the most important thing, giving people focus, something to dream for, and it comes like a compass that directs young people away from every other things that is not great, to where any other doors can open.
But what's interesting about Ainsworth as well is it's not privately run. So a lot of like football areas will be run by companies.
Yeah.
This is actually sort of like by the council, and is actually, people who live there use it. People can use it, but it's not necessarily a privately run business. Yeah. Which is really interesting.
It's usually non-profit. There's not money charged for it.
No, I don't think there is. Yeah. So it's actually an environment where they go and play, and obviously there's different issues that there would be, but fundamentally it's a really, and it's if you think about where it is, Ainsworth is like, you've got St John's Wood to the left, you've got Swiss Cottage, you've got millionaire houses around, it's a real, it sort of represents a lot of what London is like. But there's more to it than just becoming a professional footballer. It's actually a place where you can go and express yourself.
Yeah.
And the key is, if you have to pay for it, it's not always easy. Yeah. So there's lots of areas that are fantastic, but that's just, this happens to be a place which is quite shareable, which I think is really powerful.
Sometimes you got young children that have got or young people that have got issues, not them personally, maybe the parents, the fight, the argument, and they need somewhere to go to. Now, if that doesn't exist, they can't afford to speak to mom and dad that's having an argument, that give me money to go and play football when money is actually the issue. So it would be ideal if we can. I could tell you lots of examples of people turning out, because I've got over 300 young people that play football in my club, and what breaks my heart the most is when they turn out with 3-4 different 4 children and have to pick one. Have to select one, and you're looking at the family and you knew something's wrong, but they can't. It's a shame to say what it is, and they turn up and they probably won't turn up for a few weeks, and when I tend to find out, then I realize it's the financial issue. They're not sure what to pick, and usually they'll leave the girls out and pick. So when we find out, we ask them to all come in. It's a serious situation if there's nothing in place to ensure that everyone can get involved.
I mean, it's difficult because also football is quite entrepreneurial as well. You have a lot of like young football coaches now who start up businesses. So there is a commercial aspect to it. You can't always have it for free because people will be teaching.
But
there's a balancing act.
But don't we need to have more football fields where people can just go and play for free? Mm-hmm. Because the problem is that if you are from a poor family and you haven't got that around and your family can't pay, and I mean,
can't travel. The half of the battle is getting to places. So you often hear, kids who are in academies can't afford to get there. That's where it's really tough.
You touched upon with the girls there getting left out, because I mean, one thing I would notice, it was all boys.
It was all boys. That's because the game that we kind of arranged or got together, there were mostly boys who got involved. But the truth is, there's some amazing girl players. Yeah. And actually, Cam coaches football as well, and he's got some great girl students as well. And my other job as well, I make a television show called Jamie Johnson, which is a big sort of BBC football kids drama, and we have some amazing girls. Yeah. And I don't even think of them as girl footballers. They're just players. Yeah.
So, but the thing I was interested in, though, is you were saying about when there's families having to make a decision about only one kid playing, and it's always going to be the boy.
I mean, sometimes the parent or family look at the boy as a breadwinner or potential ticket meal for the future, and put the whole energy into that. But then when you look around, there's a little girl sitting there just watching everybody else. I tend to clock those girls, and I would rather want to find out what she's doing. Oh, she likes football. So, but let's get her to play then. Let's get her involved. So it's as much as we got this fighting for the women and equality, it's still not doing what it should be doing in terms of bringing them in forward. I mean, England did well in the female football.
Well, that's the thing now. I mean, you could argue this. Women's football is growing. It's getting more and more positive, more and more positive role models. There's a roadmap now. But I think there is a lot of goodness, a lot of good things going on out there. As much as not enough pictures, I think football as a sport feels naturally diverse.
Yeah, that's
feels
true.
like you can make it from coming from nothing, because it is a ball at the end of the day. You don't have to buy a set of golf clubs or a tennis racket. Yeah. Yes, football boots are very expensive. They are, but you can do it, and I think that's why you've got some amazing stories. We worked with Marcus Rashford a few years ago, and by the house that he grew up, and it was in Wythenshawe, and it was like where he used to play football, and he used to climb, to get. He went into the Man United academy, so it changed. Yeah. But he came from that background, so there's lots of Raheem Sterling. There's some amazing stories of footballers who've made it.
How has the reaction of the film been with footballers?
It's been very positive, actually. I think people who've watched it have really enjoyed it and thought, oh, this is cool. And I think hopefully there's a simplicity to it that works.
Do you think that there has become a bit of a thing where some kids think, oh, well, I'm not talented, so I can't play it?
Well, this is it. I think it's sorry to cut you there. It's I think it's what we define as what success. Now, we view success as the numbers of the ones that at the age of 15, 16, 17, 18, able to escape those periods whereby you can make decisions by yourself. You could do whatever you want. They're very volatile. They're in the middle of don't know where they are kind of age group. It's a maturation stage that is difficult for most. It wouldn't even matter whether it's a boy or girl. But some without any guidance. Maybe there's no parents. One of the dad is not. Parents not around. Maybe dad is not around or things like that. So when you manage to get loads of all those young people through that moment, and they go to university or get an apprenticeship job, for me that is success. If you put numbers on it, it goes in millions compared to academy or becoming a professional. Only few become a professional.
I think that's the power of sport as well. By learning there on the pitch, like you said, you could, it can give you a pathway and a mentality shift that takes you to something more positive. Yeah.
So finally, why the Soholiff?
Well, it's a great festival, isn't it? There you go.
You got my tenner.
I love Soho. I mean, Soho's just a great place generally, isn't it?
Yes.
It really is. And the more I come here, the more I love just being in this area. because this is a good example. It's got everything going on there, isn't it?
Yeah.
Production companies to people living here to tourists coming through. It's such a lovely access point in London. Anyway, I think it's just great. It's got so much history.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's the centre of the film world.
It is. It is indeed.
Yes.
As it should be.
Well, look, thank you both of you so
Thank
much
you.
for coming and talking to us about this.
pleasure.
And everybody, you have got to watch Ainsworth, okay? Make sure you watch it. It's a fabulous documentary and it's really beautiful. And I think it'll leave you feeling really inspired.
And it's nice and short.